Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have 7 properties that hit the market here in South Florida, all income producing properties, of course. We're gonna check them out. So let's get right to it. It's a full day. All right, first things first, you're gonna see the calculator and you're gonna see one number that's not gonna change across all the deals that we analyze, and that's gonna be the interest rate. We only update the interest rates once a week when the Federal Reserve lets us know the average for the last 7 days across the entire country. Right? And what we look for is the average for the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, okay? And then we add and subtract points accordingly if we're gonna calculate, when we calculate FHA, when we calculate a DSCR deal, when we calculate a 10% down payment deal. So with that being said, I'm gonna show you guys exactly what that information is, where it's at, where you could find it, right? This is the Feds, or you can look up FRED, F-R-E-D, right? And you're gonna look up 30-year fixed rate mortgage average in the United States. You could also put mortgage 30 US and it should pull it up for you, okay? And you could see it here, guys. Let me go here, do a year. We were on a pretty good run here. We were like going down, 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 down. 5.98, President Trump made an announcement, hey, it's the first time in 5 years that we're below the 6%, interest rate for mortgage lend, right? And then right after that, the Iran war started, and it kind of spiked up here to a 6.46, almost a 6.5. And then it's been dropping for the last 2 weeks. So hopefully this Thursday, we also see another price decrease. But as of right now, that's the number that we still use. Okay, now let's take a look. And how can you use this, guys? If it's your first time joining us, how can you use this, right? This basically means, yes, it's going to be more expensive for you to borrow money right now, but it's going to mean that there's going to be less buyers, right? Hitting the market and making offers to sellers, right? And so if there's a motivated seller that needs to sell ASAP because he has loan payments, bridge debt, whatever it is, and he needs to sell it, right? All of a sudden it helps put you in the driver's seat, okay? It helps you put in the driver's seat. Remember, use this to lower your price, okay, as much as you can, because whatever it costs you guys to refinance, let's say it's $8,000. If you could use this to bring down the price 10 grand, and more, you're already winning. So use this as a leverage with the sellers. Next thing that you're going to use as a leverage for the sellers is current market stats, okay? And you could use this with the listing agent. Sometimes listing agents are a bit boneheaded and they don't understand. So you could send them a screenshot of this stuff and be like, look, dude, like there's as many houses having a price decrease as there are prices coming onto the market. Everybody's dropping their prices basically. Help me work something out with your seller so that we could come to a deal, right? So these are the conversations. If you're out there trying to buy a multifamily, residential multifamily, and it's your first time, these are little hints that you could use, right? Also, just right, for us, when we're underwriting deals, if there's a deal that's really close to being an A, and you're telling me, Andres, the only way I'm going to buy a property is if it's an A deal or if it's a B deal, or like, hey, dude, I'm okay with buying a C deal, Like, I don't need to kill the S&P 500. I just need to make the same, but I want to get into the real estate game with a property that I really love. I get it, okay? But like, let's say it's a D plus deal and you're like, damn, I really want it to be a C, right? We could use this information again to know that even though it's underwritten for a certain number, right? That we could probably decrease the price. We could probably maybe on a flip side, on a different thing, increase rents. And now all of a sudden that D plus deal could be bumped up to a C plus deal, maybe even a B sometimes. So with that being said, let's start looking at the properties that hit the market today. And we're gonna come down here. It's gonna be the first time I see these with you guys. We're gonna come down here, say multis in the last 24 hours, click on that. And so you see right here, there are 7 properties that came out. So the way that I like to look at these, just really quick, I like to see the most expensive and the cheapest. So we go everywhere from $699,000, there's a couple of triplexes there in Broward County, all the way to a 2.4 million fourplex in Miami-Dade. All right, let's sort these by price per square foot. Okay, starting with the most expensive. And you can see that it's not even the crazy expensive one, it's just the second most crazy expensive one. All right. So guys, I take notes. I take notes for all the properties that I analyze because yeah, that's the way I do it. And you guys, if you're serious about this stuff and you're looking for, multifamily properties, you should be taking notes too. And just so you know what I take notes of, the price, the type of property that it is, the location, at least what county it's in, at least, right? The rents as is, as they currently are stated by the real estate agent, the returns that that property would give me with those rents, then I want to know like if it's possible to increase rents. So I have pulled, the median rents for like each county. And so like I compare them and I say like, hey, yeah, there's a chance to increase rents. Like this guy's like, especially if I know the area very well, like I'll be like, hey, like for sure there's a way to increase rents in that area. And so like now I start kind of like doing numbers behind the scenes, right? And then I say like, hey, is the property in distress? That's the next thing I look at. Is there any sort of distress on the property? When I look at the county records, is there a tax lien, right? Is this guy behind on his taxes or anything like that? Does the listing say like, hey, short sale, unapproved short sale, okay? So that brings the next thing, which is like, all right, what's a realistic price drop that I could actually expect on this property? And so usually I would say, and especially in this market, again, what we were talking about, guys, I would say that anywhere between like a 5 to almost, I've seen 10% price decreases on some of these multifamilies. So like I kind of like based on the product, based on the listing, based on a lot of information, I kind of just take an educated guess of where a good price reduction could be. And now with those new rents, right, with those new updated rents, if I could increase them, and with a price drop, I do my new best possible return on investment. And that gives me a range of like, all right, this property could be a B, but it has potential to be an A, or hey, this property, the way that they listed it is an F, but like somehow it has potential to be a B. So like there's a lot of information that's probably missing there because the gap is so big. So let me actually make that phone call. Let me go see the property, right? If I'm really interested in the location and the product. And that's how I go about it, guys. So I highly recommend that you do the same thing. I know that I'll be taking notes as we go here. So, all right. First things first. First property, $1.2 million. So $1.2 million. It's a duplex. Location is Miami-Dade. Okay. Do they tell us how much they're collecting in rents? They tell us right off the bat, guys. Okay. They're collecting $4,000 a month in rent. And now think about this. Like when you're seeing that already, you should be like, all right, Andres, where is that on the 1% rule? Well, what's 4,000 divided by 12,000, right? It's 1/3. It's 33%. So the returns as they are going to be pretty terrible. But we know that the rents, as they're stated, is $4,000 by the agent. Okay. Let's look at the quality of the product really quick. We don't know which one it is, so this real estate agent's really smart. Puts a picture of 5 identical duplexes, all side by side. Maybe he's selling them all. Wow. So we don't have an idea of what the product actually looks like on the inside. Let's look at the guts of this deal, see if we can figure something out. Okay, prime suite water assemblage. Income producing redevelopment upside, rare opportunity to acquire 36,000 plus square foot assemblage of duplexes in the highly sought after Sweetwater submarket of Miami. Okay, Sweetwater. Adjacent to FIU, Florida International University, the property is currently fully leased, providing immediate and stable in place, yada, 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 yada. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at the county records and see if we can get some more information on this. Okay, multifamily, yes. 2 units, 4 bedroom, 2 bath. Okay. There's not much there. All right, guys, that's about it. He's saying that there's a 4.2 that's rented for $4,000. All right, and so let's put this on the calculator. Oh, sorry, my keyboard's off. Put that on. $1.2 million. They're currently paying in property taxes $14,233. Oops. $14,233. Okay. Square feet wise, 2,246. Okay. Now he's saying that he's collecting $4,000 for this 4.2. Okay, $4,000. Now, right off the bat, what do you guys think? Does this pass the 1% rule? No, it's a terrible fail on the 1% rule. Okay. Now let's do a quick run check. Do we think that he could actually get $4,000 for a 4.2 in Sweetwater? Well, in Miami-Dade, the average for a 3-bedroom apartment is about $3,000. Okay. Now in Sweetwater, next to FIU, maybe he's renting them to students, so he's charging a little bit more rent. Is it unrealistic that he gets 4,000? No, it's not unrealistic. I would say you definitely want to double check these rents. Okay, like triple check these rents. Now, what does the return on investment look like here, guys? We don't have to do much, guys. I'll show it to you really quick. But at a 0.33%, this property, 3.8% return on investment. Okay, if you take out a loan, you would never receive money from this property. We would be making payments, as you can see here, for the life of the property. Okay, and it would actually destroy your wealth. So for that reason, like, this property is a fail across the board. Okay. It just fails all of these. All right. Now, is there a way that you could realistically, I think, increase the price here? No. Right. So let's do the returns is 3.8%. Is probably the worst one I've seen this month. The possible true rent, I think that's maxed out the way that they're currently at. Do I think that this guy's in some sort of distress? I don't think so. Otherwise, he would be selling at a better price. So no. And we didn't see anything there either. Is there a realistic price reduction that I think that this guy could give us? Okay. Is there a realistic price reduction? I don't think that this guy would go south of like 1 million, right? And that's putting it at a lot. So, and at that point, does the property make any more sense? And it really doesn't. Let me see. Yeah. Oops. It just moves the gauge a little bit. The best possible return here, if he drops the price 200K, is going to be a 4.2%. So for that reason, this property is a big fat F, guys, all across the board. All right. All right, guys, next property. Well, first, let me discard it. Okay, next property up. Let's reset this. All right, guys, this is the expensive one, 2.375 million buckaroos. Okay, they're currently paying $26,655 a year in taxes. All right, square foot of the property, 4,600. So it's a big property. Okay, do they tell us how much they're collecting in rents? No, they don't. Let's look at the quality of the product really quick. Okay, so it's clean, it's nice. I like the floors. Basic white, it works. Mini split, not a fan of, but like, hey, if it's a 4-plex, sometimes you got to make it work like that. So that's fine. Little mini splits in every bedroom. This looks like out of not a big fan, but I'm not hating it. Yeah, it's a 4-plex, guys. It's, it looks nice for a 4-plex, to be honest. Like, there's like this space here, he could put cabinets, Yeah. All right. So those are it. Those are the pictures, guys. Let's take a look at the deal. And while we take a look at the deal, I'm just going to take some notes. So this is a $2.375 million 4-plex, right? In Miami-Dade. They don't tell us the rents. Let's see if they put them down here. All right. So unique investment opportunity to acquire fully renovated turnkey 8-unit. Okay, so it's 8-unit, guys. This is a commercial multifamily. Building situated on a generous 12,500 square foot block, just half a block from Biscayne Bay in Miami's highly desirable Shorecrest neighborhood. Recently renovated in 2023, property features beautifully landscaped courtyards, on-site laundry facilities, yada, yada, yada. The property is owned, blah, 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 for significant long-term redevelopment potential. True. Okay. All right. So let's see. He says that it's 8 units and then he's collecting $14,507 a month. Okay, guys. Well, right off the top of your head, guys, what's 1% of 2 $1.375 million. It's $23,750, right? And he's saying that he's collecting 14,000. So that's what, like 40% of the of the 1% rule, right? So a 0.4 out of 1%. Let's put that here. See if my numbers are, if I'm mathing. Maybe I'm not mathing. Okay, it's 60%. Yeah, sometimes like I don't calculate. I'm not like that, right? So, however, right, this could pay off at least 100% of the mortgage. But the problem is that banks are going to want to see that you pay at least 110%, that the rents are able to pay 110% of the mortgage, okay? Especially for DSCR loans, which are investor grade loans, right? Where you need to put 25% down. So with that being said, let's do a quick rent check. He says that there's 8 bedrooms and 8 full bathrooms. That means that there's an 8 count of 1-1s. Could we make this property better? Because right off the bat, guys, what is the best return that we could get on this property? 7.8. Okay, 7.8. All right, you would not cash flow. It would destroy your wealth, right? So right off the bat, like this property, it's failing on the 1% rule, right? Let's check these rents and see if he is accurate on the rents. Sorry, let's go back here. So he did tell us that there are 8 1-1s. Okay, well, 1-1s in Miami-Dade rent for about, on median, $1,600. Okay, so the question is, if you put equals 8 times 1,600, that's 12,800. So he's saying that this property is making a little bit more than that, right? He's making, how much is he making? Let's see, equals 14,507 divided by 8. So he's saying that he's getting $1,800 for each one of these 1-1s, okay? I think that that's fair. I think that that checks out. I'm not sure that this area is going to be able to get a whole lot more for a 1-1, even if they look kind of nice, okay? So I believe him that he could get $1,800 for this 1-1, okay? We'll put 0 here. Yeah, I just out of shits and giggles, guys. So like right now, right, let's do this. It passes the rent check, right? But we know that it fails all of these other metrics. All right, fair enough. What if this property could actually get close to $2,300? Let's say if he could get $2,000, right, for all of the property. Let's say he could get $2,350. Shoot, let's go balls to the walls, guys. Just give this guy the ultimate benefit of the doubt. That means that this would equal $2,350 times 8. Sorry, $2,350 times 8. Okay, that would mean that the best you could do here is that you would be able to get $18,000 a month. Okay, at that point, it's not looking too bad. Okay, it's not looking too bad. It's a 0.79. You would get a loan on it, and the best return on investment that this property could offer you is 13.5. But I don't think that this could get you that, guys. I think that at most, you're getting maybe like 1850, right? Equals, I think, 1850 times 8, which is 1480. So it's, yeah, like I think he's right on the money. I think that that's the best he could do. Now, where do I think that this guy could realistically drop his price to? Probably like 2.1 million, right? And at that point, it barely makes sense. It barely makes sense. And let's see what returns we could get. 9.6% return on investment, right? And we would have to drop the price there. Let's see, $275,000. And I think that we're close to the max on the rents here. Okay, so for that reason, this property stays as we're seeing it. It's a fail across the board. And let's look at our next property. Okay, guys, next up is a $775,000 duplex in Miami-Dade, currently paying $8,888 a year in taxes. That's a lucky number if you're Chinese. Let's see, square feet, 1623 square feet, okay? And the rent here, they're saying that they're collecting only $2,000 a month in rent. Gee, that's nothing, okay? $2,000 a month in rent flood zone X, okay? Let's take a look at the quality of the product here. But before that, let me just take some notes real quick. This one is a 775K. It's a duplex in Miami-Dade. They're saying that they're collecting only 2K a month in rent. That would make the returns pretty freaking abysmal. Yikes. Yeah, terrible actually, like super terrible. So let's before we go forward, let's actually look at the gut. Let's look at the property, and then let's look at the guts of the deal. So whoa, day and night. Yeah, this looks totally different. All right, so is it the same unit? It's probably just the neighboring unit. Or no, look at the chairs. Did they just run this through AI? They might have just run this through AI. Yeah, virtually decluttered. All right, cool. Crazy, right? All righty. Yeah. Kudos to this real estate agent for thinking of that. So virtually decluttered is one thing, but I mean, what does the property actually look like? Okay. So apart from the entertainment here, I think that this property could use renovations. So it's like a C class, I would say at best, right? It needs new floors, the bathrooms need remodeling, the outside is okay. Yeah, like he's virtually decluttering the entire property. So it's not, I'd be intrigued at what the property actually looks like on the inside. So let's look at the guts of this deal because he's saying that he's only collecting $2,000. Okay, exceptional duplex opportunity in a highly desirable area. Both units are occupied with long-term tenants, 15 plus years, and are currently rented way below market value, offering immediate income and significant upside potential. Features a 3-2, while the rear unit features a 2-1. Each unit is separately metered for electric and water. That's nice. And includes central AC. That's nice. In-unit laundry, accordion shutters, da-da-da-da-da. Property is situated on the edge of Coral Gables, just minutes from Coconut Grove and the Miami downtown Brickell area. Okay, so they say that here's the unit breakdown, guys. They're so verified. These are the actual rents that they're getting, okay? And if you were to buy this unit right now, the best return that you could get on this is an abysmal 2.9%, okay? But is it possible to increase the rents here? Hell to the yes, okay? We are in Miami-Dade. Let's do a quick rent check for this. And let me clear that really quick while we're looking at this property. Whoops. And let me click here. And let me click there. All right, guys. We're looking at the 3-2. The 3-2 in Miami-Dade, right? The median is $3,000, guys. So right off the bat, you're going to be able to increase the rents. I would say that, given the location, it looks like it's well maintained. It just looks old. So you might be able to sneak somebody in there. If everything's working order, it's really clean, you might be able to rent it for the median price of $3K. Okay, now that 2-1, they're currently renting it for $1,275. You could definitely increase the rents there too. Okay, so let's go on the median, $2,300, right? So I think that this is the best that this property could actually do in terms of the rent. Okay, so the possible increase the rents is up to going to be $5,300, which is nice. It's a good increase. Now, are they in distress? I don't think that they're crazy in distress, okay? I would say no, they're not in distress. We could check this stuff out here. Let's look at these county records. Not looking at all the county records. This is just very little stuff. So like there's a levy from the city of Miami for waste of $760, but that would just get taken care of at the closing table. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Yeah, but look, it's Coral Gables High School, so it's an A, high school. It's a C middle school, but a B elementary. So, take it for what it is in regards to the area. All right, now the last part here is a realistic price drop that we think that this guy could actually do. Let's assume a 10% decrease and just decrease this to like 700, like you extend out an offer for 700K, right? Where does that bring the return on investment to? To 11.3%. Okay. And your cash on cash here, if you buy all cash, would be 6% on year one. So it wouldn't be terrible. Okay. Um, so yeah, and that's with a $75,000 price decrease. Okay. So what do I think about this property at the end of the day? Let me go back here, guys. I think that, could it pass the 1% rule as it currently is? No, right? But, if we actually are able to increase the rents to just what the market is probably going to be able to give you, then all of a sudden this property starts making a little bit more sense. And so it could pass the 1% rule. I think it passes the rent check. Like it's very clear to see, like, especially in that area. Now, return on investment, it's just giving you at best, guys, an 11%, right? So that for me, it's just not enough. I want to see, like, if it's going to pass, it's got to pass with some flying colors. I thought that we could maybe do a little bit better on this deal. But no, that's I think the best we're going to be able to do. Could the property cash flow, right? Could the property cash flow? And the answer is, if you're able to do all that, yeah, there's a good chance, but I'm not going to say for sure that there is. So I'm going to say it's a maybe. And can it create wealth? I think that yes. Like, even if you don't are able to get these price decrease or the price decrease, even if you stay at 775, right? The property is going to be able to create some sort of wealth. Okay, it's not going to rob you blind. So it's just not going to be. There's way better properties out there, guys. So why mess with that? So for that reason, I would also say it's a next. And so overall, I would give this property probably like a C to a D. And it would just require a lot more homework, right? So there's way better lower hanging fruit out there. Yeah, I would put this like in my C bucket. Like I'll get to it if the A's and the B's don't work. All right. So with that being said, let's discard this one. Okay, next up is a $719,999 duplex. It's in Miami-Dade too. Okay, they're saying that they're collecting $2,600 a month in rent, and flood zone AH, so you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for insurance. Let's look at the quality of the product that we have here. All right, it doesn't look very newish, but on the inside it looks better. Wow, okay. Yeah, like I can't hate it, It's a duplex, like it's not going to be marble, but it's possible. It's possible. All right. Painted all white. Flat roof, not a fan of. Wonder what the condition of that is. Stairs, liability. Okay, just things that I'm thinking while I'm looking at this. Let's look at the guts of this deal, see if we could figure something else out. All right, and by the way, let's reset that, and let's go here. All right, investors dream of perfect house hack opportunity, discover incredible potential, yada, 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 yada. There's a bunch of yada, yada. All right, cool. What is it? It's a 3-2 and a 3-1, okay? The 3-2 is leased at $2,600, okay? And then they're saying that the 3-1 is not leased, okay? So it's currently only producing $2,600 like they were telling us, but there's a 3-1. So let's do a quick rent check, guys, because right off the bat, it's totally failing the 1% rule, obviously, because there's not enough rent coming in. So a 3-1 realistically in Miami-Dade could rent for $2,700. Okay. Now he's saying that the 3-2 is only renting for $2,600. That throws some red flags, because like, why can't you rent it for at least the median? That product looks like it could get the median, right? So I think that let's adjust this a little bit. Let's say $2,500 just because of what he's saying. I think that realistically, a good return that you could have on this property is going to be like an 8.7%, right? And if you go back up here, look at the 1% rule. It's still failing, okay? But as is, it's failing here. We did a rent check. I think that he could definitely get the rents that he's stating that he's currently getting, okay? And return on investment, I think that you're getting 8.6% or 8.7%. That's a fail for us, okay? But let's see what else we can do, guys. Let's see what else we can do. Can we fix this? Because right now it would totally fail that and it would fail that. So let's reset this and let's see what we can do, ideally with this property. Okay. I want you guys to look at the quality of the product, right? It's not bad. It's not bad, okay? So, given that it's a 3-2, right? Could we increase the rents? Let's say we increase the rents to an actual $3,000, which is the median. And we rent out the 2-1 for $2,300. Okay? That means that this property might be able to create $5,300 a month in rental revenue. Okay? How much do you think that we could decrease this price to? Oh, mind you guys, I think that we were looking at this wrong. I never changed the numbers on this calculator. Oh man, it sucks. Okay, so this is actually $719,999. $719,999. Taxes $8,965. Okay, square feet 1926. Okay, so all of a sudden this property is looking not that bad. Okay, just as it is right now. Now it's kind of like barely matching the S&P, right? Like at best you could do like a 10%, 10.3% ROI. Now and it's kind of like barely passing the 1% rule. Now where could it be in terms of purchase price? Could we go ahead? What could we realistically drop this purchase price to? Let's say another 70 grand, guys, and let's see if we actually put 650 grand here. Okay, how well does it increase it? Well, first of all, this is going to be nice because you're going to be able to get a loan on it. Okay, if you're able to prove that you could actually, if the market actually could collect these rents, it would help you out tremendously here, right? I think that the max again for the rents here is 5,300, and a price decrease here would be of, I think we did 70K. All right. And that would mean that the return on investment here would go up to a 12.4%, which isn't terrible. But again, this would leave this property in a C bucket, like in the bucket of C's, right? So I think at that point, it would kind of pass the 1% rule, right? Like you would definitely want to, like it would pass the rent check, but you definitely want to, like, I think we're getting to like the best of the mids, right? It would kind of pass the return on investment, but it wouldn't be great, okay? It would create cash flow, I think. Yeah, it would create cash flow if you bought this using a 25% down payment, and would create wealth is the question. And the answer is yes, okay? This property could create some wealth. And so for that reason, this property is a little bit better than the last one. But again, there's a lot of stuff to double check. But it looked like a nice quality on the inside, all right? Now that being said, let's go ahead. We'll get rid of this one and we're down to our last 3 properties. All right, so next up, it's a 699. Let me not forget to put it this time on the board here. $699,000. It's a triplex paying $10,156 a year in taxes. Square feet, 2,000 square feet on the nose, okay? They don't tell us how much they're collecting in rent. So let's take a look at the product. Beautiful picture, cute looking property, very beachy. Corner lot's nice. Okay, adjacent waterway. They're probably like in AHA, whatever flood zone. Probably not the best, but hey, it's a nice like corner lot property. Nice little driveway here. I'm not hating it. Okay, right off the intercoastal, looks like. Yeah, the problem is that this agent also forgot to actually put pictures of the property on the inside. So we're gonna have to like see if he actually mentions anything that makes this deal any better, right? But it is a $699,000. What did he say? It was a triplex. Yeah, triplex in Broward. And he didn't tell us how much they were collecting in rent. So let's see if we could figure it out down here. A 6,600 square foot lot. Triplex zoned, blah, 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 and one of Fort Lauderdale's best neighborhoods. 1 vacancy studio. And you couldn't take pictures of it, man? and 2 one-bedroom units rented on a month-to-month basis. Okay, so that's a red flag, guys. Month-to-month rents are going to get more rents, and they're not going to be a realistic estimate of what you could actually rent there on long term. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to have to deal with renewals every single freaking month, especially times 3. So yeah, or just like have to like worry about every single month, like asking the tenant if they're going to move out like after 15 days. For that, you might as well be an Airbnb, I think, right? So here's a breakdown. He says that for the 1-1, he's getting $1,000. Whoops, 100,000. For the studio, he's getting $900. And for that other 1-1, he's getting $1,000. Okay. Well, right off the bat, right? This guy's collecting, he says, $2,900. If that's the case, it totally fails. Totally fails. All right. The 1% rule. All right. Does it pass a rent check? Do I think that he could actually collect those rents? Yes, I think that he could collect those rents, right? But I think that at that point, he would clearly just go ahead and fail all of these, right? Just because it's so terrible. I mean, I could show them to you guys, right? You would cash flow here. You would never cash flow actually for the life of the loan if you were to finance it and continue to charge these rents. Now, I do think, right, and let's go back here and reset this because you're going to be able to go ahead and increase the rents on this property. All right. So let's look at the quality of the product. Well, we don't know the quality of the product on the inside. He doesn't really tell us here either. No indoor laundry. Okay, so that's important to know. There's a new roof and clean, but ready for cosmetic upgrades. So it probably looks old on the inside. So it's a mid product on the inside at best. Okay, now 1-1 in Broward County could rent out for $1,600. Okay, now he has a studio. I think that a studio, you might be able to get away with like $1,250 at most. Okay, for a mid-quality product. And then the other one is also another 1-1. So let's say $1,600 here. And so you end up with a maximum rent of $4,450. Okay, the returns before, guys, right, was the best return was a 4.1% ROI, right? If we go here, you end up with $4,450. It still fails the 1% rule here, guys. Unfortunately, it still fails the 1% rule. Whoops, sorry. This property would still, as pretty as it is, it would fail the 1% rule, right? At that point, you would need to check the rents, right? You would need to check these rents. But because it's so low, it wouldn't even pay for your mortgage, guys. And so if it doesn't pay for the mortgage, it's not going to give you a return on your investment. You're definitely not going to be able to cash flow. And it's not going to create wealth. It's actually going to cost you money to pay, that extra bit of the mortgage and save for repairs and save for long-term expenses and save for vacancies. So all in all, this property is an F. The best return on investment that this property could actually produce for you here is going to be a 7.1% ROI. And I don't know about you guys. Well, let's see. How much do you think that we could actually decrease this guy's price by, right? That's the question. And you never know because this guy's already, he's comfortable charging below market rents, right? He's comfortable charging about $1,500, like $1,550 below market, almost $1,600 below market rents. So maybe he's not hurting for cash, and maybe he could walk away if you give him, I don't know, like guys, if you give him $500,000, all of a sudden this property could make sense. But that's a huge price jump. I don't think that he would take a $200,000 haircut. I think that he would be willing more than likely to take maybe at best a $100,000 haircut, and that's pushing it, I think, for this guy. And even at that, even if he took a $100,000 haircut, and you were to increase these rents, the best that this property is going to be able to do is an 8.7%. And for that, guys, we keep shopping, right? And that's assuming a 99K price drop. Let me see if this guy's in any sort of distress that we could glean off of this public data here. There's a couple of levies there, but it doesn't add up for more than like $2,000, which he would just take care of at closing. So, yeah, I don't think that there's this huge issue with the property. So with that being said, guys, this property is going to be a hard F. We're going to go ahead and discard this one. All right, we're down to our second to last property, guys. All right, this time we are looking at a 1.45 million dollar duplex in Miami Dade, currently paying a whopping $2,925 a year in taxes. Square feet, 4,193 square feet. They don't tell us anything about the property apart from it's in a mixed flood zone, AE and X. Okay, let's look at the quality of the product before we jump into the deal. So this looks like it's almost like more than 4 units. It has a parking lot and everything. It's on the water. Okay, does it have water access? Maybe, not really. So you might have to deal with the seawall here. Yeah, no, it doesn't. So you're gonna have to deal with the seawall here probably, or some sort of retaining wall. So I'm already not a fan of that. But it's a big property. The inside could use renovations. It's got mini splits. Not a fan of those. Okay, but it's not terrible. Yeah, it's just older. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, this one could be virtually staged too, or virtually decluttered. Yeah. What do you guys think about this stuff? This is interesting. Okay, so it is what it is. Let's look at the guts of the deal and see if we can figure out the rents and what it is. This thing actually is. All right, spectacular waterfront multifamily property sits just a ways from downtown. Okay, incredibly versatile property with many options, high ceilings, bright light, blah, 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 blah. A bunch of blah, blah here. Here we go. Strong rental income in place. 14,000. He's saying that he gets $14,650 monthly. Guys, if that's true, this is a 1% property. Okay? It could be amazing. Canal front income producing assets of this caliber simply don't come to market. A++ safe and walkable, he says. All right. Please use Google Maps. Property is currently zoned R2 for showings requests via blah, 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 blah. All right, but he doesn't tell us what the unit breakdown is. And that makes it really hard for us as investors to kind of like evaluate this property. And it forces us to call this guy and see what's going on. And that's annoying. All right. Now, he says it's 2 units. Okay, there's 2 units, 2 stories. There's 9 bedrooms and 6 baths. 9 bedrooms and 6 baths. And he's saying that it's a duplex, technically, right? Yeah, duplex. Okay, so let's see, 9 bedrooms. That would need to be like 5 bedrooms and like. So yeah, there's this. It's got to be like a duplex, but like operating as like I don't know what. So this is actually a really interesting property. It's our first like straight up 1% property that we've just come across before we like analyze it further. Let me put this away. Sorry, guys. All right. So for that reason, let's do this. Let's analyze this a little bit further. It passes the 1% rule as he's stating the rent to be. Okay. The rent check, honestly, guys, like this is definitely like a next close to like a fail. Like if I could like pick one of these, like I don't know which one it would be. I'm just gonna leave it at next because you definitely want to check this stuff. It would pass on the return on investment, even with the whopping taxes, I believe. Let's double look at that. Okay. Yeah, it would be a total pass on the return on investments. I mean, if you could somehow buy this using FHA, you could get a 28% return ROI here. Okay. So let me just take these notes down. 1.45 million duplex or quad. We'll find out. It's in, this one's, where were we? Broward? Next to Fort Lauderdale, did he say? Oh no, in Miami. Yeah. And the maximum rent that he thinks that he could get is $14,650. Okay. Well, the returns, if that's the case, the highest that you're gonna get is 28.5%. That would be an A, close to an S property, guys. All right. Now, are the rents true? No way to know. There's no unit breakdown. Is it in distress? I think that we looked at the available records and we didn't see anything on that, right? Do I think that there's a price reduction to be had here? Possible, right? It's possible that we were able to still reduce this price a bit. Although maybe this guy's already thinking like, hey, dude, like I'm giving you a fantastic deal, but you never know what's wrong. It's next to the water, guys. There might be an issue there, a big issue that most inspectors are not going to like consider. So if you're looking at this property, please do me a favor and make sure that you have some sort of like an engineer as part of your due diligence. If you're going to move forward with this, look at that seawall and make sure that there's not a huge issue coming up in place, because just replacing that section could be about $1 million, right? Maybe that's why he's giving you such a good deal on the property. So is there a possible reduction? Perhaps, but I don't know what it would be. Because there's this seawall there. And so I would just leave the best possible returns as they currently are, right? At this 28.5%. All right. So that's awesome, guys. We found a property that could potentially, and mind you guys, if the interest rates drop to just what they were like 2 months ago, 5.98, and you're able to lock that in, you could get returns of north of 30%. Like you would that's like taking a machine gun to the S&P 500, dude. Like that is an S tier property, okay? But we're not there. We're at 6.3, so it's still a very much A plus return on your investment sort of property. But again, there's a lot of due diligence pending with this one. But awesome. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, discard this one, and look at our last property. Okay, we are in Hollywood, Florida. Good old Hollywood, $699,000 triplex. Okay, in Broward, and they are charged. Let's put it right here on the board or on the calculator. $699. All right, in Broward, they're currently paying $9,270 a year in taxes. Square feet, 3,062 square feet. They say that they're collecting in rent $5,050 a month in rent, right? And where does that put us in the 1% rule, guys? That puts this property mint. Let's keep analyzing this. Let's see what the kind of product that we're dealing with here. So I like the circular driveway. It's nice that it's already done. Not mad about the floors. It's got that like concrete looking tile. There's mini splits in the unit. It's got like, you know, a lot of light coming in. That's really nice. Tenants love that stuff. Everybody loves that. Yeah, so again, good lighting. I'm just not sure that with a mini split, it's gonna be able to cool effectively in South Florida, but you never know. Not mad about the bathroom. Looks nice. Nice. Yeah, overall not terrible. I'm a little bit concerned about this wood siding. Like, did they do it for like just decorative purposes, or is it really just wood siding through and through? Yeah, so it's nicely either virtually staged or staged. So yeah, it doesn't look terrible. I think it might have been virtually staged. It has a lot of backyard space. You know, you have like an empty lot next door. That's nice too. Let's look at the guts of this deal and see if we could figure out, you know, what's going on. They did tell us it's a turnkey. They say a turnkey triplex in the heart of Hollywood, fully updated, yada yada yada. All right. They say that it's a 1-1 and that the 1-1 is getting $1,600 a month. They're saying that there's another 1-1 getting $1,900 a month, and that one's vacant, but somehow it's getting $1,900. And that they say that there's a studio getting $1,550. Okay, so is it realistic that in Hollywood you're able to get this? All right, we're in Broward County, 1-1, $1,600. I think yes. The other 1-1, they're saying that they could get $1,900 for it. It's possible. It's possible, you know, but it's vacant. So like, you know, I don't know. And they're saying that for the studio, they're getting $1,550. Okay. So, I mean, it's a possibility. It's a possibility that they could get $1,900 for it. You would just need to do the homework for it. So I would say that in this case, you definitely want to go ahead and double check the rents as well. Okay. Not a clear, like for sure, these are the rents. but it does add up to 50-50. Okay. Now, what does that actually mean on your return on investment? That at best, you're going to be able to get an 8.4% ROI here, okay, based on your internal rate of return. Would you cash flow? The answer is no. The answer is no. So it would fail here. It would fail on our cash flow, and it would actually probably fail at creating wealth. Yep, it would create zero wealth. So what can we do to make this property work? Is there anything that we could possibly do to make that, this property make sense? Okay, so let's do this, guys. This is where I have a little bit of curiosity. So he says that for the 1-1 he'd get 1900. So that might mean that this other 1-1 that he has is under rented, right? So what if you could actually check the area and it turns out that you can rent it for $1,900, right? That would mean that the possible rents are $5,350, okay? And now where do I think that this guy might, feel comfortable dropping his price by? I don't think that this guy would take anything less than maybe like $630. So dropping his price down now like 69 grand. And where does that put the property now, right? It still would be a little difficult to get a DSCR loan. You wouldn't get it with the best rate because it's below 125%. And all it would do is bring this property up to an 11.4%, right? So I would say that more than likely this property is like a low C. This is one of the last properties I would check. I mean, this is like, there's a lot better properties to do due diligence on than this one, because I don't think that this guy is anywhere near close to the price that we need him to be for this property to make sense. I do love the quality of the product. It looks nice. I believe in Hollywood very much, but again, this price would need to be closer for me to like 575, okay, for it to make sense. At that point, right? Yeah, it looks a lot better. So, yeah, guys, let me know if you guys have any questions. Those are the deals for today. We found one that could be potentially amazing, and the other ones were kind of like C-level properties. So, all right, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.